There are a lot of ways to play Pokemon, many of which we covered on the channel before, but what if we played Pokemon the wrong way? Is there even a wrong way to play Pokemon? I don't really know, but let's try and find out on Pokemon Silver since I barely play these games on the channel. Starting off, we pick frame 3 as picking your frame is very important. Give the wrong time to our mom because we're trying to play the game as wrong as possible, and name ourselves Joe for 2 reasons. The first reason is because my name isn't Joe, so it's just wrong, and the second reason is because of Joe Mama. Once in the overworld, I check the PC and get rid of our bed. Did you know you could do that? I don't know why you would, but we don't waste time around here resting. The grind never stops. No breaks. I took a nap shortly after starting the game and setting everything up, then we get to pick our starter Pokemon. For our starter, I just chose Cyndaquil because it doesn't really matter which starter we pick, and you'll find out why pretty soon. From here, there isn't much of a choice as to what we can do, and we have to go to Mr. Pokemon's house per Professor Elm's request. I remember when I first played this game as a kid, I got lost at this part of the game because I had no idea where to go and where to find Mr. Pokemon, and you can't even buy Pokeballs at this point of the game yet, so I was just stuck here with a lone Cyndaquil, kinda like we are right now. After running Professor Elm's errands and defeating this mean kid in battle, we return to the lab to see somebody stole a Pokemon. I wonder if it was the kid we just battled who had one of the Pokemon we could have picked as our starter. This pig then asks us if we know the name of this red-haired boy, and instead of just filling the name out, I just click end and it automatically names the kid Gold, and I had no idea the game would do that. On the next route, I catch a Weedle named it Wurmple of course, and immediately box our starter Pokemon Cyndaquil. I feel like for the most part, the right way to play any Pokemon game is to use your starter Pokemon, so let's just not do that today. We'll catch a Pokemon later on though that will be our real starter soon enough though. I decide to level up Wurmple a bit more until he evolves to Beedrill and take on Falconer's Flying-type gym. Yeah, you heard that right. Beedrill, a Bug-type Pokemon, for the Flying-type gym. It doesn't really get much more wrong than that. But Falconer's Ace Pidgeotto is only level 9, even though Pidgey doesn't evolve to level 18. But this battle is about more than just the birds and the bees. Yes, we are a bit over leveled for the first gym, but read the title of the video, this isn't supposed to be done the right way. Beedrill really only has Fury Attack, which is a multi-hit move that does decent damage to Pidgey, at least enough to two-shot it. Then, on Pidgeotto, we Fury Attack it some more and do less damage overall, but still tank a Gust. We don't have a resisted move to go for against Falconer, which would be more wrong, but after 2 more Fury Attacks, we defeat Falconer with a Bug-type Pokemon, defying the odds of what you might think you're supposed to do at this point of the game. After leaving the gym, we get a call about some egg that I don't really want to take care of, so I just keep going, but it turns out the game forces you to pick up this egg from the professor's aid, and stops you if you don't have it, so I just go back, pick it up, and shove it in the PC. And finally, we can catch our real starter Pokemon, or at least the Pokemon that I wanted to use most when first starting off this game, Hoppip. I named it subscribe because, well, if you aren't subscribed yet, like, seriously, what are you even doing? And it also fits the theme of lesser used or misfit Pokemon that I want to use in this playthrough. As we make it to Azalea Town and help some old man who knows balls really well, our Hoppip evolves to Skiploom. It still has a pretty terrible moveset, and yes, we could have easily caught a Geodude or a Zubat in one of the nearby areas for this upcoming Bug-type gym, like you're probably supposed to do, but we're not gonna do that. We of course leave with our Grass-type Skiploom in the Bug-type gym on Bugsy's Metapod. I spam Tackles as it hardens, and Poison Powder it to make things go by a bit quicker. On Kakuna, I tried to Poison Powder it, which is wrong since a Poison-type Pokemon in Kakuna would be immune to it, so I of course Poison Powder it 2 more times in a row just to make sure. After that, we spam Tackles and switch to Beedrill after Skiploom gets poisoned, then heal up a little bit. Beedrill is able to take out the Kakuna, then on Scyther we go back to Skiploom. I Poison Powder it as Fury Cutter does minimal damage the first time, then we spam Tackles as Fury Cutter slowly builds up damage on Skiploom. I stay in and keep tackling till Skiploom falls, then go back to Beedrill to give Bugsy a taste of his own medicine and Fury Cutter him for the win. Or was it Fury Attack? They're not the same move, but they both have Fury in it, so I guess it counts. Before we leave the town, we have to meet our rival for another fight. He leads with Ghastly, and since our only good moves on our team right now are normal type, we have to go for Twin Needle, which is resisted. We have a lot of levels on him though, so we can take out his team pretty easily still. Then on Zubat, we just stay in and Fury Cutter to knock it out. On Crocodile, we spam Twin Needle, and this Beedrill is really proving its worth on the team, which I didn't quite expect. I thought I'd be using Jump Bluff a lot more, but not so much. In the Elex Forest, we can help these bozos find their lost bird, and make it to Goldenrod City, where this nice guard gives us a Spearow named Kenya with some mail to deliver to his friend in another town. Then we can return the Spearow to him later on. I just ripped the mail right off the Spearow and released the Spearow immediately. Now we have to fight one of the most infamous gym leaders in all of Pokemon, Whitney. Her Clefairy goes for Metronome right away and gets an Ancient Power on Beedrill. It doesn't get the boost, but it was still really funny how it got a super effective move. Clefairy goes down pretty easily, but then we have to fight the big, bad Miltank. Rollout is just way too good for our team of just 2 misfit Pokemon, so I decided to catch a Ditto in a nearby route after losing the first attempt against Whitney, because I thought transforming to her Miltank would be pretty funny. Instead of finding Ditto though, we find another pink Pokemon in a shiny Drowsy. I really didn't expect that, but since shiny Pokemon are so rare and were kind of kept a secret at this point of Pokemon's history, I added to the team and named it Pink. I figure it fits the team pretty nicely, and the only shiny Pokemon they really intend you to use in this game is shiny Gyarados, which I won't be using, so we'll use this instead. In the Whitney rematch, Beedrill takes out Clefairy with no issue, then on a Miltank I go into Skiploom and Leech Seed it to get some more damage off while healing a little bit. This helps against rollouts, but tackles still do very little damage to it, so I switch to Drowsy. I try to disable the rollout, but it fails, and I don't know if it always fails on moves like rollout that just keep on going, but then Drowsy just falls anyway. I go for Twin Needle with Wurmple and skillfully get the poison, which honestly saved us there because Beedrill fell in the following turn and we probably would have lost without it. That was a pretty weird battle, and it's safe to say that wasn't the correct way to beat Whitney. We're so close to being at a point of the game where we can do even weirder things, but after watching this weird tree hop away, I caught a Stantler. No one really ever cares or talks about this Pokemon, or even uses it while they play through Gold and Silver or any Johto-based game or any game it appears in, but I thought it would fit our team quite nicely. I also thought we could skip Morty's gym here, so I go right to the Lighthouse in Olivine City and learn that we actually have to go back and fight Morty, so we evolve the shiny Drowsy into Hypno and prepare for Morty's Ghost-type team. I lead with Beedrill on Morty's Ghastly and go for Twin Needle, which does okay damage for a resisted hit. Ghastly then goes for Curse, drains over half of its HP, and then dies to another Twin Needle. Nice play, Morty, but I thought I was the one that was supposed to go for the wrong plays in this game. On Haunter, we go to our new pal Stanley the Stantler and miss a Hypnosis as Morty curses again. I Hypnosis again, and this time we land, and the only move we have to hit Haunter for any damage is Mud Slap. And since that's a super effective move, I switch to Wurmple to knock it out with some more Twin Needles. On Gengar, I just stay in and get put to sleep, so I go into Hypno. Gengar goes for Dream Eater, which fails, then Shadow Ball does a lot of damage, as Confusion misses the knockout on Gengar. Hypno goes down to another Shadow Ball, so I go into Stanley, but it gets put to sleep again. I just stay in and take Dream Eaters till Stanley falls, then go into Wurmple. It's also put asleep, so we aren't in the best spot yet, but we can still find a way out of it. Or not, because Beedrill falls, but it's okay because we can go again, and this time around we'll win on the first try. I leveled up the team a little bit more, and this time we have Skiploom evolve into Jumpluff. This time around, we got this. It doesn't matter how many times it takes you to get things right, or in our case, get things wrong, you just have to keep trying until you persevere. We go for our bread and butter strategy, which is Beedrill going for Twin Needles that are resisted on Ghastly a few times and knock it out without taking any damage. On Haunter, I just go right to Hypno and go for Confusion, which one-shots it. Looking pretty good so far. On Gengar, I stay in and run back the Confusion as we skillfully dodge Hypnosis but miss the knockout. On the following turn, Gengar lands Hypnosis, so we switch out Stantler and force Dream Eater to fail. Stantler then Mudslaps for the knockout, and on Morty's last Haunter, we switch out to Beedrill and Twin Needle a bunch of times again, and I don't think I've ever really used the move Twin Needle before that much in my life, but it's by far the move we've used the most in this particular playthrough. 4 badges down, and now there's some more wrong things we can do in this game. After leaving Ecruteak City, I go right to Route 38 and find a Ho-Oh. I bet I made some people look here who weren't quite paying attention to the screen, as I also wasn't quite paying attention when I ran to this Pokemon, as it's really a Farfetch'd, I just thought it was a Ho-Oh when I saw it from the corner of my eye. I do end up catching it though, and naturally name it Ho-Oh. In order to surf across to Cinewood City next to get the medicine for the sick Ampharos, we first need a Pokemon that can actually learn the move Surf, so I get a fishing rod from some guy and fish up a Krabby. I figured it was the weirdest Surf Pokemon we could use, since some of the other Surf Pokemon we have access to right now are just Gyarados and Tentacruel, which are too basic. I also forgot to get the actual Surf HM, which was a genuine mistake, not me just doing this part of the video to get another thing wrong, so we head on back to Ecruteak City to fight the Kimono Girls and get Surf. I then decided that this sick Ampharos can wait, as it's really not my job or my problem to take care of it, so instead I just used Surf to make our way over to Mahogany Town where Price's Ice-type gym is located. Technically, we're not supposed to battle him until the 7th gym, and we only have 4 gym badges right now, and technically we have to go to the Lake of Rage first and help Lance out with Team Rocket and all that stuff, but you know what, that's really not my problem either, so let's just let the adults handle that. while I just battle Pokemon. I'm just trying to get some gym badges and do some Pokemon battles, not save the world. And there's this guy standing in front of Price's gym that's in our way, so we just stealthily sneak past him and get into the gym to fight Price. While sneaking, I accidentally snuck out of bounds in the gym, and the game just reset and looked all weird for a few seconds. I have no idea what this means or why this happens, but it's definitely not the right way to play this game, and it looks like we fell into the Matrix. And I don't mean that weird new Matrix kids talk about, I mean the old cool Matrix with Keanu Reeves. Price leads with Seal, which if you didn't know is based off of a real world seal, so I lead with Ho-Oh. I realize our moveset leaves a lot to be desired, but Peck still does a good bit of damage. We tank an Icy Wind and Peck again, which gets a crit and knocks out Seal. On Dewgong, we stay in and I tried to Swords Dance for some reason, but we take an Aura Beam. That was definitely the wrong play, so I guess it was right in our situation, which is good for us. And then we go down to Dewgong. I go into Jump Bluff since it's the wrong choice again and Leech Seed it, as Icy Wind somehow doesn't one-shot us. I Synthesis to get us back to full HP, as Dewgong Aura Beams, which does more damage than Icy Wind. I go into our recently acquired Kingler to tank an Aura Beam, Leech Seed some more, then go for Stomp, which does a good bit of damage. On the following turn, Dewgong rests to heal off all of its damage that we did to it, but we also go back to full health as well thanks to Leech Seed. The Dewgong stays asleep long enough to fall to Stomps, then on Piloswine I just Guillotine with Kingler and land first try, of course, and defeat Price. That was probably the most normal battle we've had in this run so far, but it was still a little bit unorthodox. Now that we have the 7th gym out of the way, we can set our sights on the 6th gym badge, which makes perfect sense. Before we can do that though, we have to collect the medicine for Ampharos. While we're over there though, we meet this guy who asks us to take care of his Shuckle since somebody else stole his other Pokemon and he wants us to keep it safe. So of course I just take it, go right to the PC, and release it. Now that I'm writing that out, I realize just how messed up that is. Like, imagine if somebody was like, hey, can you watch my dog? And you just give it up for adoption while they're away. Like, how would you be mad? I'd be mad. For Jasmine Steel type Pokemon Gym though, we again lead with Beedrill and hammer away with a ton of Twin Needles. It does okay damage, as usual, even though it's resisted, but then Magnemite confuses us with Supersonic. We still land the next Twin Needle to KO the Magnemite though. On her Steelix, I go to Jump Bluff and Leech Seed it, take a Screech, then go for Tackle since it's the worst move we can go for. She misses an Iron Tail, so I Tail Whip, then go down to the next Iron Tail. Here we go to Stanley and hit Steelix with Stomps, and get some lucky flinches in there. Jasmine eventually uses a potion to heal up, and then lands an Iron Tail to KO Stanley. I go to Hypno and spam Confusion, which actually confuses Steelix. It does hit us with Iron Tail, but we live and finally knock it out. Then our Magnemite Hypno falls, so I go into Beedrill and use our trusty strategy of going for resisted Twin Needles that somehow keeps working for us. Now we have Chuck. I don't have Strength, and I don't know how I miss getting Strength or even where we get it, so I just defy the odds as we always do and walk right through these rocks without the need for Strength. Naturally, against Chuck, I lead with our Stantler on his Primate because we're weak to fighting. We can turn this weakness into a strength by instilling false confidence to our foes, so they think that they have the edge. We land a first turn Hypnosis on Primate to put it to sleep and then stomp it a few turns to knock it out. Then, on Poliwrath, we stay in and just stomp it, which gets a critical hit but barely misses the one-hit KO. Morty then just uses Mind Reader for some reason and goes down in the following turn, allowing Stantler to win the battle without taking any damage. I'm sure a lot of people out there wouldn't use Stantler in this fight and probably thought Stantler would fall early on since we went about this battle the wrong way, but let that be a lesson. Just because you aren't doing something the same exact way as somebody else, and you aren't on the same track as somebody else who seems like they know what they're doing more than you do, doesn't mean you can't reach your goal. That sounded a lot more stupid now that I read it out loud, but now we have a long road to Blackthorn City through a conveniently placed ice cave that has a ton of ice-type Pokemon around for the upcoming Dragon-type gym leader Claire, so we of course ignore every ice-type Pokemon we see and keep our team of misfits as we make it to Blackthorn City. The gym is closed because we have to go see Claire in the Dragon Den or whatever first, so I just sneak past this guard again and see that Claire is actually in the gym just waiting to battle us. We lead with Jump Bluff on Claire's Dragonair, which paralyzes us with Dragon Breath as we Leech Seed it. We kinda just ride out the seeds for a while and go for some tackles to get some more damage off. Tackles against the 8th gym leader is so funny to me for some reason because it's the most basic move against one of the hardest battles in the game, but we somehow take out the first Dragonair still. Claire then sends out another Dragonair, and we run it back and try to Leech Seed it, but this one has Ice Beam, which knocks out Jump Bluff. I then send out our trusty Drill and Twin Needle, which does under half damage, but gets the poison. This Dragonair then Thunder Waves us, which is annoying, then misses a Slam as we land Twin Needle, and get the KO thanks to poison. Claire then surprises us and sends out a third Dragonair, which got me thinking maybe we should have also used multiple of the same Pokemon on our team, since I don't think Pokemon would intend for players to do that. But then I realized that so many of these gym leaders, like Claire, use multiple of the same Pokemon, so maybe they do. This time I just go for Twin Needles again, and Beedrill continues to defy the odds and take out another Dragonair. It's truly the Dragon Slayer, even though bug types like this really aren't intended to be used at this later on in the game. On her Ace Kingdra, I just go into our shiny Hypno and tank a Hyper Beam as we Hypnosis. From here, I just switch to Ho to take it out faster and defeat Claire with some weird Pokemon. Now for one last rival fight against Scold. We stomp him, like literally, Stanley just stomps sometimes, and I barely had time to think this fight was so easy. First up for the Elite Four is Will and his Psychic type Pokemon. He leads with a bird, and we all know that birds aren't real, so I just lead with Hypno. I go for Psychic since it's resisted and definitely the wrong play, as Xatu goes for Confuse Ray, which likely matches Will's confusion on how we're battling. I decide to switch up and go for Headbutt to see how much it'll do, and it does about the same as Psychic, so I go for a second one which knocks out Xatu. He then goes to another Xatu that we flinch with the first Headbutt, then take out after two more. On Jinx I go to Kingler for no real reason other than I haven't really used Kingler that much, and I just like Kingler. Crabhammer does nothing, so I go for it a second time anyways as we dodge a Lovely Kiss and then we miss a Crabhammer. But we then dodge another Lovely Kiss and KO the Jinx. On Executor, a Grass-type Pokemon, we stay in with Kingler, since that is probably the wrong play and go for Surf, which is also wrong. It barely does any damage as Will Psychics us, which puts us into the red. I switch to Hypno and tank a hit, then Headbutt the Executor, which now goes for Egg Bomb. We manage to take it out with over half health, then on Slowbro we go to our trusty Beedrill. Instead of going for a super effective move like Twin Needle on the Slowbro, we go for Cut as Slowbro goes for Curses. I keep going for Cut anyway, then Beedrill falls to two Psychics. I send out Jump Left, which finishes off Slowbro with two Mega Drains though. Now for Koga, who is an actual ninja. Of course we use Beedrill since it hits Koga's poison type Pokemon for the least amount of damage with Twin Needles. We still manage to take out his lead Ariados with some cuts in there as well. Then we continue to cut his Venomoth and take it out. We have low HP though, so we go into Stantler on Crobat, partly to give it more screen time and partly because Stomp is just really good. Crobat double teams, but we land two Stomps in a row anyway to knock it out. On Fortress I go to Kingler and Surf it, which does really little damage as it sets up a layer of spikes. We then Crabhammer because it's weaker, and was totally the wrong play, since Fortress lives, goes for Explosion, and takes down Kingler with it. I then just go into Stantler on Muck and stomp it a few times to get through Koga. Now for Bruno. I don't really know why he has lava in his room, but sure. The optimal play would be to use Hypno for his fighting type, so we of course use Beedrill on his Hitmontop. Hitmontop has Dig, which is really annoying, and I just get fed up with it that I go into Ho-Oh to dodge a Dig and knock out Hitmontop. Jump Bluff then takes out Onix, Beedrill finishes off Hitmonchan, and on Machamp I just go into Pink and Psychic it. In hindsight that was one of the most normal battles we had in the whole run, but now we still have to go talk to Karen. We lead Beedrill on Umbreon and go for our trusty Twin Needle strategy, which doesn't do that much damage. We do eventually take it out though. Then on Houndoom we go to Kingler and miss the knockout as Kingler then falls, so we go to Stantler to finish off Houndoom. Then the rest of our Intrepid team just falls to Twin Needles after we heal Beedrill, allowing us to face the champion, Lance. This is our final test. He leads with Gyarados as we lead Jumpluff. One of these flying type Pokemon is a bit more menacing than the other. I mean, just look at Jumpluff, it has 3 Puff Things while Gyarados has none. We miss a Leech Seed as Gyarados goes for Rain Dance, so we try again as there's no shame in that. We tank a Surf, then somehow later on tank a Hyper Beam, as we slowly whittle away at Gyarados' HP and take it out with our trusty Pluff. On Dragonite, we Leech Seed it, but get taken out to Blizzard, so we go to Stanley and go for Stomps. We get the flinch, heal some seed damage, then stomp again for a second flinch in a row for the seed damage to just finish off Dragonite. Not the most conventional way to take out a Dragonite, but Lance has another one so we can flinch it again, then go for another stomp as he Thunder Waves us and then Hyper Beams. Stantler barely lives, but gets fully paralyzed, then falls to another Hyper Beam. I go into Hypno next and Psychic, which takes out Dragonite. On Aerodactyl, I go to Kingler and take a Hyper Beam really well, then go for Surf. I probably should have just went for Guillotine here, but whatever, it still takes out the Aerodactyl. On his third and final Dragonite, I miss the Guillotine as he outrages and knocks out Kingler. I go to Hypno as we go back and forth for a little while with some heals, and after arriving Kingler, I send it back out to Guillotine Dragonite for the one-hit KO. All that leaves now is Lance's Charizard. I tried to Guillotine it, but it doesn't work, probably because it's faster and it keeps failing. On top of that, Charizard actually burns us with Flamethrower, and our backs may be against the wall, but we still have the power of healing items, so I guess we'll be fine. Eventually, our shiny Hypno, the most unexpected member of the run, does the unexpected and finishes off Charizard for the win, so we beat Pokemon the wrong way, well, sort of. I guess there really isn't a right or wrong way to play this game. We just went for a lot of resistant hits, went out of order with some of the gyms, and used some lesser used Pokemon in a weird way. There isn't exactly a right or wrong way to play this game, I guess, just like there isn't exactly a right or wrong way to reach your goals. Everyone goes at their own pace, and all that matters is that you try your best. You might be thinking, wow, this was literally just a really convoluted vanilla playthrough of Pokemon Silver version, and yeah, you'd be right, but we did it our own way thanks to our team. Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships.